Well, hey kids, we're live. I'm sorry I'm a little overdressed. I was working today, and I got home late enough that I couldn't change into something cooler looking. So here I am in my normal work clothes. I'm glad to be back because I got to go back to South Bend, Indiana, my hometown, and I found out that while I was there, I didn't miss it all that much, except for Crooked U. Crooked U Brewery and Restaurant is still makes the best IPA in the world. So I brought home a 6 pack of that. Had one last night. Probably have one or two tonight. And yeah, so it's nice to be back in Huntsville, which was voted the number one city in the United States. It was voted number one city in the United States after I moved here. So I guess that tells you what happened. Anywho, I posted this on Instagram. I don't like to make big deals out of things, but we did hit 1 million downloads after I think I've been doing this about 2.5 years. So 1 million downloads, it's a pretty big milestone, and I appreciate you guys listening. And I really want to keep bringing you good stuff. And this is all about the craft and the business and everything that has to do with stand-up comedy because there is so much to it that nobody knows when they get up for that first open mic. So we want to make sure that I give you all the lessons that you need to do the best you can as a stand-up comedian or as a comedy nerd. You can find out what's going on behind the scenes. So thanks for 1 million downloads. I know that we are listened to in I don't remember how many countries, but it's a lot of countries. And some of them fairly regular. France, for some reason, is really big into the show. So somebody in France really likes me. And oh, what's the other one? I get a few from Ireland. Um, yeah, there's another one that's big, but and it's a Estonia. Yeah, I'm getting somebody from Estonia that's downloading every week, so that's pretty cool. Anywho, let's get on with the show. I discovered Neil basically through social media. We somehow became friends on Facebook. And, sometimes I just pay attention to people and I paid attention to him. And I think he's got a really unique story. And also, I really like what he does on stage. So I'm going to bring him out right now. It's Neil Rubenstein. Hi, Neil. How are you?
Hi.
I
Hi,
appreciate you being
Scott.
on the show.
I appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah.
Can we, before anything, how big of a Brack fan are you?
Pretty big.
Do you have Sitnam on your knuckles big?
No, I'm not that big. I'm not that big. But
Very,
yeah,
very rare that someone I can show that to someone and they understand what it is.
yeah,
Very rare.
yeah. I got to get a Zorak too, and
Yeah.
so I can complete the trifecta. But I don't think that Adult Swim has ever really beaten Space Ghost. They've got some great stuff, but I think Space Ghost was their Mona Lisa.
Yeah, I mean, the Brack show for me was just, and that I feel like that era, because that era they had Venture Brothers was starting and Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Uh huh. Yeah.
And I feel like those are just three very different, three very great. I want to say that metal apocalypta. What it was?
Yeah.
That was like right around then.
Yeah.
I want to say maybe Tom Goes to the Mayor was right around then.
Yeah.
That was a good. They had a good run, but that Brack
Yeah.
show, man, that's
Yeah, and when that stuff came out, Space Ghost and the Brack Show, that was I was raising kids at the time and they were little, so I had to really pick and choose what I watched. So it was pretty much that and the X Files and Twin Peaks. So that's really all I could fit into my life. And so and since then I've rewatched X Files probably, I don't know, 3 times all the way through the series. And Twin Peaks I rewatched seasons 1 and 2 with my wife because she'd never seen it. We did that recently, but yeah, that's the that's the only way I really experienced nostalgia is through those old TV shows.
Yeah. I watch too much TV. I still watch too much TV. Um yeah.
Yeah.
Venture Brothers is killer.
So I've been watching, your clips, and I listened to your EP that's still on Spotify for some reason. Uh,
I sneak through.
you're one of the comedians that didn't get kicked off of Spotify, so
Yeah.
congratulations on that. One of the things that I really like about you is your ability to be in your act and then either acknowledge or interact with the audience. I don't want to call it crowd work because I wouldn't call what you do crowd work because it's a real genuine interaction that you have with people. And then you go back in, you're able to get back into your act. I wanted to talk about that a little bit because I think you're pretty masterful at it. Is that something that you learned, or is that just the way you are?
Fuck, man. Scott Curtis coming out hard with
Yeah, I
the
do deep dives, baby.
first of all, thank you for saying nice things. I would say that I just so what I tell like, and I'm a newer comic. I still feel like I'm learning. I feel like I'm very new. People will be like, "Oh," but I feel very new. But what I say to newer comics is the reason we're the reason we ended up doing comedy is because someone in our life was like, "You're funny. You should try stand up."
Right. Yep.
In general, like I mean,
Hmm.
I'm painting with broad strokes, but someone said, "Neil, you're really funny. You should try stand up." Whatever it was, whoever it was. So when I talk to new comics, I'm like, try and capture that. Everyone talks about trying to find their voice or whatever,
Hmm.
and I think it's just trying to be you, trying to be yourself.
Hmm.
And so I really do try to just be the funny guy that you hung out with in the car on the way here. I want to be that on stage because I mean, I've made friends that stay with me for 20, 30 years. So
Hmm.
obviously there's something there. So why not try and just be like, why wouldn't I want to be like that with everybody?
Right. Right.
So there's a little bit more like rehearsal to it where it's like, well, this is a bit I'm going to tell, but I'll adapt that bit to what we're doing. Like,
Hmm.
you know, the joke about being wishing I was lived in a small town doesn't have to be I wish I was in a small town. It could be like, hey, this town is that town, or hey, I just drove through that town.
Right.
Like it doesn't. The truth is still the truth, regardless of the framework.
Yes. Yeah. 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 I understand that. And one of the other things I like about, I mean, when you watch your act and when you listen to everything you have going on in your life, you are, I want to say this nicely. You're somebody who is uncomfortable in your own skin. You've got the anxiety, you've the depression, you've got everything that most comics have, and yet you take that and you stay that way when you're on stage, and yet you're comfortable on stage. So you do you know how, and you've seen enough comedians to know that people who are in the same state of mind as you, sometimes they get on stage and they get so inside their head that they are coming across as something less than a good comedian, I guess. They're not, they get so wrapped up in how they're presenting themselves, they're not genuine. So you've got everything, all your baggage that comes on stage with you, and yet you seem genuine when you're up there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think so. Like uncomfortable in my own skin is like a because I think that like the human condition allows us to be multiple things at the same time.
Hmm.
So like I have the depression and the anxiety and the social awkward like please love me, I just need love.
Yeah.
But also I know that I've done cool things. Hold on. I've done cool things, and I know that I'm like a fun, cool guy to be around.
Hmm.
So I I don't mind like I don't mind presenting my anxieties because it makes me what my friends want to be around.
Right.
So that's fine. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like it's like when people say you have a guilty pleasure. You
Yeah.
know, they're like,
Yeah.
oh, you like Rob Thomas, so that's a guilty pleasure. No, it's not a guilty pleasure. It's a pleasure. And if I like it, it's because it's cool.
Yeah.
Me,
Yeah.
just by me liking it makes it cool.
Right.
So I don't believe in like the guilt. So I feel like it's the same thing. Like just because, yeah, like I have anxiety, I have depression, I'm an emotional guy, I cry.
Uh-huh.
That doesn't make it not tough because I'm a tough guy.
Uh-huh.
So this is part of what being a tough guy is.
You're right.
Or, whatever the thing is. Like,
Yeah. You remind me a little bit of Richard Lewis when you're up there. You've got a lot of the same, okay, I'm gonna pretty much spit my life out here on stage. So you're brave enough to do that, and yet you do it in a way that I guess it doesn't necessarily push most people over the edge of either A, feeling sorry for you, or B, being offended in some way. And I think that takes a lot of self awareness. And I think that I guess that seems to be what I see up there is somebody who's very self aware and confident enough in what they're doing that they can bring up all the things that are going through their heads and in their lives.
I mean, I'll take it. Uh, I definitely, I definitely agree with the honesty thing. Like, I just like, yeah, whatever is going on is what's going on. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, the day my wife left me, the jokes about how out of my league I was with her,
Mhm.
I just changed the like. Well, now, see, I told you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, it was like, I mean, that week, like, I didn't have to like go back in the tank and like figure out those jokes. It was just like, oh, my wife, nope, my ex, that like that's it. Same,
Uh-huh.
like, if that makes sense. I don't know,
Yeah. Yeah, it really does.
I think I was answering the question.
Yeah. Now I listened to the last time you were on Red River. I actually listened to that while I was driving today, and there was something that was brought up that I wanted to dig a little bit deeper into because you talked about starting in 2007
Let's go.
and you went 2007 to 2009, and you said at the end of that run you found out that you sucked
Yeah.
and you walked away for a while. Can you expound on that a little bit?
Well, and how? I mean, what? Like, yeah, like I
Yeah,
sucked.
yeah. Well, how did you realize that you sucked?
Just hearing other people's reactions and then hearing my reactions.
Uh-huh.
Like, so I I think I think comics will talk about this where like a bad comic hears a little bit of laughter and is like, I got laughter.
Yeah.
And a good comic hears a little bit of non-laughter and is like, I didn't get enough laughter.
Right.
So I think that I think that just happened for me. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how to behave or how to get better. I didn't know what kind of work to put in. And I just tried this thing I got like a smattering of laughter and some pats on the back. And because I had some things going on in other facets of entertainment that
Mhm.
I was able to get some opportunities I didn't deserve and didn't work hard for. And it's all the same things that I try not to resent other people for getting now. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like
right.
I learned valuable lessons. Um, and
Eh,
I think that, that I just, I heard, it switched for me.
mhm,
I heard a little bit of laughs and I was like, oh, I can do this. And I got a little bit of reward and I was like, oh, I can do this. No big deal. This is easy.
mhm.
And then one night, day, evening, I tanked and I was like, that sounded bad. And then that's all I could hear from then on out. I was
Mhm.
like, oh, there's there's that graph. It's like we all start with incompetent confidence.
Yeah.
And then we go and we're like, now we're not confident because we recognize our incompetence.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then we get competent, but we still have that, oh, I'm not good yet, lack of confidence.
Mhm.
And then finally we get to this confident, competent part of our lives.
Right.
And that's when you can start getting good and start figuring things out. And I think that first go at this, I wound up in that in unconfident, incompetent.
Mhm.
So when I restarted, I was I was not confident. I was confident that I was incompetent,
Right, right.
you know, which I don't know who's on that graph. I don't know where on that thing is.
Yeah. So what did you do to change your act to feel like you were competent?
Hmm.
Did you start at square one? Did you just start
I started
completely over?
I started at square one, just started going to mics. I
Mhm.
took a couple of classes. I'm a big advocate of a class.
Okay.
I, I, I know that there's a lot of like snake oil salesmen out there, and
Yeah.
a lot of shisty characters, a lot of people that are going to try and sell you a product that's not whatever. I will say, if you're starting out, or I mean, not even just starting out, I think first 5 years, you can always learn from someone better than you.
Mhm.
And if someone better than you is offering a class, what's the harm? What's the harm in spending 6 Wednesdays in a rental rehearsal space to like be able to pick this person's brain?
Mhm.
Someone who's done Last Comic Standing, or someone who's, on whatever, or someone who used to book Caroline's, or whatever the thing is.
Right.
You're gonna learn from people. And that's the other thing. I think a lot of I just got into it today. Not into it because I was like, I'm out. But there's like all these forums on Facebook, you know, comics looking for this advice or whatever. And someone said, oh, how do you feel about this? With no intention of hearing anyone's fucking point of view, just so they could say their point of view.
Yeah.
And I forget that that's what that is. So sometimes I get caught up and I'm like, oh, well, that's fine. Like, so the topic was feedback mics.
Mhm.
And it was like, all right, well, I don't know that I'm the demo anymore, but I still find value in any feedback. Any feedback is valuable feedback. So if that's what's going on, and I can learn from people that are not necessarily comics. I can learn from whomever, because they're an audience member. You understand comedy. You understand comedy.
Mhm.
It's not. We're not roofers. We're not rocket scientists. We're just telling jokes. Like, what's funny? Farts are funny. Farts are always going to be funny.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, do I say a fart or the fart, or is it the farts? Is it
Yeah.
a multiple? Like, was it just, or do I just say fart? You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, there's a science in there, but I mean, ultimately, we're talking about fart jokes here.
Yeah.
Like, not. What was I saying? So my
Well,
point is
there's
that you can find value in a lot of people's opinions,
yeah.
even even if you think they're. I made that mistake once. I saw someone was posting a class. It was offered free to me, and I was like, I'll do it because the other people in the class are great.
Hmm.
And then I did the class, not expecting that the moderator would have any valuable input, and they ended up having some of the most insightful input I've ever heard. And they're not
Hmm.
comics; they just worked at comedy clubs their whole life, and they
Yeah.
just get it. And it's like, oh yeah, what like who am I to think that I couldn't get value from someone else's thoughts. Like if I really hate it, if I really disagree, I can just brush it off. Whatever. It's not those.
Hmm.
And like even when I give advice to people, because in the music industry, I would like take people under my wing every now and again, and it would be like I'd be like, ignore me today, forget what I said. I'm the only one telling you, forget it. You don't like it, forget it. But when you hear it again from someone else down the road, remember that I told you first.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's really how I take everything too. Like someone says it once, I'm like, all right, if I disagree, I'm like, okay, well, but now my, what Bader Meinhof, you're like, once you hear it, I now everyone's saying it. Everyone's been saying it this whole time. I didn't notice.
Yeah.
All right, okay, that's valuable input. Thank you. Let me get back to work.
Right. Right. And that's another good thing that self awareness gives you. I think we're alike in the fact that we don't ever think that we're 100% right about anything, and we're always willing to not only be wrong but seek out the real answer and be better for it. And I think that's a good. It's part of empathy. So I think it's a good way for a comedian to be, because not only do you know which advice is going to work for you and which isn't, but at that advice may not work for you now, but it may work for you years down the road
Yeah, 100%.
when you're ready to meet it.
Yeah. Like I don't, I don't have any answers.
Mm,
I'm trying to figure it out. Also, I know how I can get better, and so I just keep trying to get better. And then if I hear something, you know, and yeah, it totally is empathy because it's like um, the pronoun thing is a hot
mm,
thing, and it's like it may be confusing to some old timers or whatever, but it's like, all right, well, that's what's happening now, and I don't want to bum anyone out. So, uh, what harm does it do me to? All right, that's a they them now.
mhm.
Maybe I'll forget. Don't get. I'm sorry,
Right.
but I'm gonna try and be better because what's that makes you feel better. I would want someone to do something to make me feel better.
Yeah.
I don't like being called a fat fuck. Stop calling me that.
Hmm.
All right, I won't call you that anymore. I don't like being called she. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right. My bad. I'll do my best.
Right. And the way and you do a pretty good bit on that, that is non-confrontational. For, like, say I'm in Huntsville. So say you're in Huntsville, or Huntsville, not so much Birmingham. Say you're in Birmingham at a club. I think you could get away with that at a club in Birmingham.
So yeah, Huntsville's pretty woke these days.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so like there's tones of it. So I I think I know the joke you're talking about, and so like to me, the funny part about the bit is that I'm conflating gender and sexuality,
Yeah.
which I know is not the same.
Right.
Now, I am purposefully conflating it, which
Yeah.
I think is hilarious.
Yeah.
And I have found that um, an ignorant crowd laughs at the wrong part of it,
Right. Yeah.
and a woke crowd gets offended at the wrong part of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, uh, all right.
that's what I like about that, because it plays for different audiences for different reasons.
You know what I find funny about, or one of the many things I find funny about the the construct that we have now of like the ignorant room and the woke room and the whatever
Uh-huh.
is when you tell a joke that's like a stereotype joke
Uh-huh.
and the audience is so not in on it that they just think you're saying a true statement.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like if I were to be like, yeah, I had to shave down my horns,
Yeah.
and then like out like in Enid, Oklahoma, I'll see someone be like, "I told you they had horns," and it's like, what? When it was obviously a joke, dickheads. Like we're not
Yeah.
Jews don't have fucking horns. Like, all right, never mind.
Oh, I love that. Now,
I have a joke where I imply like Indian people are smarter than white people,
uh-huh.
and I'll say, "Oh, he turns out super smart. Name him Rajesh." And then like occasionally, and I don't mind that, but occasionally you just get someone be like,
Yeah.
like, so nothing in what I said was absurd. That doesn't
Right.
feel absurd to you at all.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not gonna tell you where to laugh. You laugh.
Yeah.
Laugh is then we won.
Right. Right. Now, in this whole, I mean, there's so many uh, arguments going around about being canceled and cancel culture and stuff like that. Do you feel like comedians sometimes do that in reverse based on the room that they walk into and the city that they walk into? That they feel like they have to change for them, and then what it turns out is that they really didn't have to, because even though you're in the Bible Belt or whatever, you can find people who are of whatever faith, Christian faith, Muslim, whatever they are. You can find people that are comfortable enough in what they know to laugh at it, and or what they believe to laugh at it. And sometimes you rob people of great material because you feel like it's not going to land.
I think I'm answering this question correctly. Not correctly. I think I'm answering the correct part of the question. You should want to be writing universal material.
Mm-hmm.
I think like there's like local references and stuff like that you can like take in, take out. Maybe in one joke it's the Hooters on Yukon, but by you it would be Jack Brown's on Main Street. You know what I mean? Like there would be that situation to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like it's a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope once you start thinking, oh, this audience isn't going to like this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think you just got to be true to yourself. I mean, there's definitely occasion where a lean in is unnecessary. Like if you're worried that the all lesbian crowd you're performing to tonight isn't going to like the transgender joke, you can leave the transgender joke.
Yeah.
Definitely don't only do transgender jokes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because your take is not going to be, unless you have experience with it, like your take's not going to be hot enough. You know what I mean? Like I've never lived as a lesbian. I can talk about some sexuality stuff because there's some struggles now and again,
Mhm.
but I don't know what the lesbian experience is like. I can't do 20 minutes on being a lesbian.
Mhm.
I'm not going to lean into that.
Right.
Um, on the other hand, though, like a redneck room will laugh at redneck jokes,
They really will. Yeah.
whereas a left leaning room don't necessarily have good sense of humor about themselves.
Right.
Um, I open for Ashley Gavin quite a bit, not quite a
Mhm.
bit. Once in a while, I open for Ashley
Mhm.
Gavin. I would love to do it more. Her audience is 100% lesbians. I
Mhm.
mean, I, I, I mean, literally, I've done a show with her where I've been like, "Where my heteros at?" and like two people will be like, you know, um, and I don't change. I don't take out anything. I don't add anything. Once in a while, if I think they're not loving me, maybe I won't do something that's like on the edge.
Uh-huh.
But that's just because if people have to like me quite a bit for me to sell a one-arm lady joke. Like
Yeah.
people like
Yeah.
we're just not going to get there together as a group if you don't already like me. You're going to be
Right.
like, wow, F
Yeah.
this little piece of shit, you know. Um, so that has nothing to do with lesbian or redneck or whatever. That's just if the room's not feeling me, I have to close with something else.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, I feel like there's not a lot I will take out, or maybe I won't do one piece of a bit, but very very rare. I can't really think of any instances where I'm just like, oh, I'm not doing that joke. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't think of it. Like I did a biker bar and I did my biker joke. It didn't work. It didn't go over well. I thought they
Mhm.
would think it was funnier than like I thought because I look how I look and
Yeah.
have the experiences that I have that we would get along better and they were just too tough to have a good time at their own expense, which
Uh-huh.
is whatever. My bad,
Yeah.
but in general, yeah, like no, I don't think it's a good idea to be like because it's code switching.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just as bad as like going into a black room and start trying to talk like a black guy. It's just like right. I could have
Yeah.
just listened to code switching. I didn't need to explain what code switching was.
Yeah. It's funny you talk about like a strong lesbian audience. This is totally unrelated, but I went to see Melissa Etheridge right after she came out. I think it was 88, 89, or something like that. And I was going mostly because Matthew Sweet was opening for her. And I'm a big Matthew Sweet fan.
Huge
And
Matthew Sweet fan.
yeah, and so basically, what showed up at the Morris Auditorium there in South Bend was every lesbian in a 50-mile radius, and I was third row, and I was just surrounded with my brother by women, and they're all just showing the merch, or just putting the merch up there like that. And she finally stopped and said, "Yeah, I know about that stuff because that's my merch." It was like every woman there wanted her, and it was just it was kind of a neat experience to see that. And Melissa was a little bit uncomfortable at all the women kind of throwing themselves at her.
So, I like that makes me want to tell you two quick things. One, so Ashley Gavin, who I open for occasionally, every time I say it, it goes down like all the time. Sometimes, occasionally,
Yeah.
once this woman Ashley that I have no friendship with that I met once. Uh, she has a bit about putting all the lesbians in an electric cage, like
Uh-huh.
electric fence cage them in, and she's like, "Stop right there! Put me in the cage with the other lesbians." Like that's the
Uh-huh.
joke. And then I saw there's like an Etheridge Fest coming up,
Uh-huh.
and the flyer is like Melissa Etheridge, Ani DeFranco, Indigo Girls, you name it.
Yeah.
And I sent the flyer to her, and I was like, "Is this the cage with the other?" And Matthew Sweet, I did a meme recently where those Venn diagram memes,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
or like it's like basically now it's like the arm wrestler guys. It's a Venn diagram,
Uh-huh.
and it's uh, porn actresses and Matthew Sweet songs, and it starts with a solo.
I love it.
I think that's funny. I think this is a very small audience that will get that
Yeah,
Matthew Sweet songs all start with a solo, but
yeah, no doubt. And Evangeline would be the star of that one. So yeah, yeah, I like
yeah,
that.
I remember playing it for someone. I was like, every Matthew Sweet song starts with a solo, and they're like, what? And then I like put on both those first two records, and then even the new record.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh, all of them.
100% fun. Every
Yeah,
song starts with a solo. That first record, every song starts with a solo, and then I played the new one to be like, and he didn't stop. Like it just
yep,
song
yep.
comes
Blue
in and just
Sky on
rip.
Mars, all the way through. Yeah, it's that's his modus operandi. He's
Love it.
yeah, but I I love him. I love I love poppy bands that have really dark undertones, and Matthew hits that.
Are you familiar with Motion City at all?
Yeah, yeah, I am.
I mean, not similar in musical styles,
Yeah,
but I mean that is all like that feels like all pop songs with a moog, and
yeah,
then like the lyrics are just about like killing yourself and
yeah,
heroin addiction and like brutal. Like
yeah,
he's to me, he's a genius.
yeah,
Justin Pierre is a genius for sure.
yeah, for sure. I look back at how long they've been around. See, Motion City soundtrack at my age, because I'm almost 58. They feel like a new band to me,
Right.
but they've been around for a while, and I discover them usually probably 10 years after they started. That's usually my when I find bands.
But that's great that you're like, you know, I feel like a lot of as we get older, we settle into our routines,
Yeah, yeah,
and I really I find that I gravitate towards people who are still looking for new stuff.
yeah,
Like I want to know what's on TV tomorrow. I want to know what a cool new band is, what the
yeah,
cool new comedians are doing. Like I'm never I, I've never uttered, you know, the expression like, oh well, it's not the same as when I was. No, it's better. People have more access to more. People are more talented. You know,
yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
I've got a joke that I want to run it by you because it almost universally gets me booed, and it's basically me dissing Led Zeppelin, and so what I do is I say, okay, boomers like me, we compare every band to Led Zeppelin, and if they don't sound like Zeppelin, we don't even want to hear them. And I'm like, Led Zeppelin's a great band. They're a fantastic band. I've just listened to enough Led Zeppelin. I don't have to listen to any more because there's new music out there. And every time I do that, it's just like, you've dissed the Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, no, fuck Led Zeppelin. Um, First of all, they stole all their stuff. Two, that's like a good. The Led Zeppelin argument is so funny to me because there's that band Greta Van Fleet.
Yeah, yeah, that's Led Zeppelin too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so it's like if you like Led Zeppelin and don't like them, you're just being a prick. Like that is
yeah,
there. That's the same band.
right.
And also like, oh yeah, fuck dude, fuck Led Zeppelin. I never got into them, and I've had arguments with like other like rock and roll people where they're just like, no, you got to listen to this and it's like to me, it's like the secret menu. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? If it's that good, put it on the main menu. Why is track one bad?
yeah,
Why do I got to be smart to listen to this? But no, it's not for me.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. I just I've reworked that joke a million different ways, and it just always falls flat. So it's one of those jokes that
People
you
are too
bring out.
precious about that. People are precious about that band.
Yeah, and it's one you bring out when you want to really lean into your bomb. It's a great one to just really turn the audience completely against you.
Plus, your town is dumb.
Yeah, you don't have near enough vape shops.
You just have too many fast food places for how many lights you have in this town.
Yeah. So one of the things I really that I notice about you is comedians really like to bring you on as their feature. Uh, so some pretty big up and coming comedians like to have you as a feature. How do you position yourself
I
as
wish more.
being a good feature?
Well, so I just want to. I want to be what people want. I want to be what I want on the road with me.
Hmm.
I drive. I take my job seriously. I'm good.
Hmm.
I service the show. So like it's their show.
Hmm.
I'm not trying to I'm not trying to be better than them.
Hmm.
I'm trying to and like if I'm like let's say I'm out with I've only worked with her once so far. I plan on doing more, but like let's say I'm out with Adrian Appalucci.
Hmm.
I know we got to prime this audience for dark
Hmm.
because if the audience isn't expecting dark, if the audience isn't recognizing dark humor, she's gonna have a really tough time. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna lean in with I'm gonna lean in with my darkest stuff. I'm gonna do leukemia, my parents are dead, all that stuff, all the tough stuff. I'm
Yeah.
gonna give her all of it because she needs the audience to be primed for that. Because if I
Yeah.
come out and I'm like, "Hey, everybody, we're gonna have a goofy fun time," and then she's like making fun of the Vietnam vets, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People are gonna be like, "What? What?" So that's important. One,
Right.
yeah, I think I'm fun to be around. I also like logistically, I'm like 'cause I used to tour manage, so
Hmm.
like logistically, like I have my shit together. Like I can plan a trip. Uh, you know, I can do the bullshit work that maybe some people don't want to do either.
Hmm.
So that helps too. I think sometimes.
Hmm.
I love that that's the perception of me is that people like to bring me out. I
Hmm.
wish more people brought me out. I would love it. I would
Hmm.
love to just I want to be on the road with people that I like to be on the road with. I would love it. Like
Hmm.
yeah, just out there.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
a
it's important to recognize recognize what they need, and
yeah,
then and fill that need.
right, right. That's and that really leads into how busy you are. So I see comedians that are saying that they can't find work and that it's really tough out there. And then I see your schedule, and you're almost you're working pretty much 48 weeks out of the year and working hard all over the place. How do you position yourself to do that?
That I mean, uh, that's just I don't like want to say like I think there's a lot of different ways to do it. I don't think I did it the smart way at all, but I've made like a ton of sacrifice. Like my life is very pared down.
Hmm.
Like my bills are very minor.
Hmm.
I don't own anything. Like I
Yeah.
have a couple of suitcases worth of clothes.
Hmm.
Everything I own is in this room right now. Like
Yeah.
there's not like I don't have like kitchen stuff or a
Uh-huh.
couch. You know what I mean? Like it's just like what's in this room is that's it. And like
Uh,
not even like the bed's not mine. That's not mine. The desk's not mine. That thing's mine, but that's it.
yeah.
like like I just I yeah. I mean I don't I appreciate that people perceive it the way they perceive it,
Hmm.
but I don't know that it's enviable, you know?
So there's a sacrifice involved
Yeah.
of kind of kind of having
I mean,
a
everything.
regular life.
Yeah, you can't have a regular. 'Cause, like, even like, so I was married for a while. I was with the woman I would love to have died with,
Mm,
but like, how do you ask someone to be a part of this lifestyle with you?
mm,
Like, that's super disrespectful. Like, hey, I love you. Why don't you wait around weeks at a time while I
yeah,
go chase this dream that's probably not going to happen?
yeah,
You know, stay safe. I like, there are
yeah,
so many times where, like, I mean, this isn't comedy related, but this is lifestyle related.
mm,
I was on a flight to Hong Kong. My ex had a an infection, an ear infection. Like, she got it and ended up in the hospital, and ended up, like, had to have surgery and whatever it was, all while I was on a plane. Like, I was on an
mm,
18-hour flight.
yeah,
So she got the infection, had to get rushed to the hospital. Like, that's some shit, like, you should be there for.
yeah,
Like, it would have been a huge help in her life if I had not been. And I mean, yeah, it was work. It was work related. It was like, but still, it's like, I don't know.
yeah,
People talk about missing their kids' bar mitzvah or their first words or whatever. That's that lifestyle. So,
right.
like, either you're built for it or you're not built for it. But even being built for it, like, that stuff takes its toll. Where you're just like,
Mm,
I can't ask. It's like, even now, if I date a little bit, but it's like, I can't ask you to get serious with me.
mm,
And then what? I'm going on the road for 7 straight weeks. That
mm,
doesn't come back through Oklahoma City.
mm.
Well,
Yeah, you're right, right. So, is there an end goal to working as hard as you are? Are you working towards something, or do you think the harder you work, luckier you get?
Uh, so I look at Nate Bargatze.
Uh huh.
Did you see his schedule recently?
Yeah, I've
So
seen
he,
I've seen him twice. I watched him twice on the same tour, so that I could understand his pacing.
so he just added a bunch of dates. I saw his thing, and uh, it's like, yeah, I mean, he's on tour this whole year.
Uh huh.
So I don't know, what am I working towards?
Yeah.
Like,
Uh
to me, it's like, oh, it'll get easier. Touring will get easier. I can tour like Nate Bargatze.
huh. Yeah.
That's if I'm the best in the world, I can tour like best. If all the stars align and
Uh
everything goes 100%, turns up Neil, the best I can hope for is to tour like Nate Bargatze.
yeah.
Well, that's still all right. That's so. Then what? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, honestly, when I think about, like, goals, because success looks different to everybody,
Uh huh.
it's just an easier time touring. I just wish I had an easier time touring.
Yeah.
That the emails got answered quicker, or the whatever.
Yeah.
It's just about having an easier time touring. So yeah, no, there's no end in sight.
Yeah.
Because success is more touring. Maybe relationships and friendships get a little easier because I can bring people out with me if it's my show.
Right.
If it's the Neil Rubenstein traveling bonanza, then yeah, the girl that I'm seeing can come, and my I can bring a friend as a merch guy. I can
Mm.
hire a merch person. I can hire someone to just hold the cell phones and film us all day. Like, I can have an editor, or I can bring Dubin out so he can edit and do my art. while we're on the road, and but that's, I mean, it's the same. Ultimately, it's the same lifestyle. It's just easier.
Yeah.
But is it easier? Then there's more things, more plates in the air. Then it's
Yeah.
like, well, now I gotta worry about, like, is the show we just agreed to do for Netflix, like, do we have to work on that this week while on the road? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
who's doing that? Who's taking care of that?
Well, that's the thing in comedy, because you have to be present for all of that. No matter what it is, it's you're the product, so you're the one that has to be there no matter how you get there. If
Yeah.
somebody else drives for you, or you're on a tour bus, or you're flying, or whatever it is, you are still the product. So you are the one that has to show up when everything goes down.
Yep.
When you're, and you've been in TV, when you're an actor, you have to be on set, but you don't have to be front and center all the time. It's only your scenes. When you're a comedian, it's all you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What am I doing, Scott? What am I
I'm not
doing?
putting you in a dark place, am I?
I mean, I live in a dark place.
Yeah. Oh, now you've been doing it long enough, and you are. I think you're smart enough that you watch other people. What do you look for in, like, a raw comedian? So when you do a club, like you recently did Fort Wayne, and I'm sure that there were guest spots and stuff like that. When you watch these comedians, like, doing a guest spot, what sparks you to say, hey, they could be something?
Oh, I mean, all sorts of different things. I, yeah, all sorts of different, because it could be a look, it could be a style, it could be a comfortability, it could be the writing, it could be the jokes, it could be the topics, premise selection. It could be, it could be anything. Really, same thing with bands. Like, when you like, I'll hear a new band, I'm like, yeah, that band's gonna be good. You're like,
Yeah.
that band's gonna be big, whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. I think it's all different stuff. I guess it's charm, like that it factor, that
Hmm.
charm. So that's a fun. What's the word for it? It's like a little, like a game. So, like, I can tell when someone's gonna be famous if we're in a public setting and they stand alone in the corner.
Uh-huh.
If it takes 4 minutes for there to be a group of people over in the corner, that person's gonna do well
Uh-huh.
professionally. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because
Yeah.
they're
Because they're
literally a
drawing. Yeah.
magnet,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a fun thing to do. Like, that's just like a fun exercise. Is like you go to a party. I'm gonna stand in the corner. Let's
Hmm.
see how long it takes for everyone to be like, "Hey, what's up, man?" and come over to me,
Hmm.
and be like, "Oh, I must be giving off a thing today," and then, or
Yeah.
I'd be like, "I don't belong at this party at all. I gotta
Yeah.
go. I gotta take my Zorak references elsewhere."
Yeah. Oh,
I
it's
was in
so
the corner
funny.
trying to I was in
Yeah.
the corner talking about Lucy, Door of the Devil. People are like, "What?" I'm like, "You didn't see it? Oh, you gotta see it." I'm like showing it to my phone.
Yeah.
They're like, "Get out of here. This guy gotta go."
That's another thing I like about you. You're an outlier. You like what you like, and you don't care what anybody else likes. And
Oh,
I think that's an important thing, especially in comedy, because I see people that get all caught up in say Star Wars. So you're either a fan or you're not a fan, and I'm not a fan. And people who are Star Wars fans don't understand how I can't be a fan. And I'm also I don't care about the Marvel universe or any of that stuff. I'll go see a movie and I don't really care that I don't know what it's connected to and I didn't see the other movie and all that kind of stuff. But and I feel like you're the same way, especially on music and stuff like that. You like what you like because you like it, not because a whole bunch of other people said you should like it.
Right, for sure. In that sense, yeah. But I'm a fan of the zeitgeist. Like I like to know what's being batted around out there, so I can
Yeah,
make the references and understand that. I want to understand the references too.
yeah.
Um, I don't know. Yeah, yeah, I like what I like for sure, but I like I like to hear what other people like. I really like that.
Hmm.
Like, talk about I forget who it was. This is going back a long time, but listening to someone talk about something they're passionate about
Hmm.
is awesome. Like,
It is.
and I
Yeah.
don't care what that topic is.
Hmm.
If you're like super passionate about like peanut M and M's, I'm
Hmm.
like, I want to hear. Tell me more about how the. Tell me more about peanut M and M's. Let's go.
Right. Yeah.
Get into it. Or you're like, you're like amazed by rocket propulsion.
Yeah.
Well, I could definitely learn from you. Like, tell me about rocket.
Yeah.
Is that even the word?
Yeah.
Propulsion? Propulsion?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
It is. Yeah. My son actually is a rocket scientist, so that is a word. So
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, Huntsville.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Rocket
it is
baby.
really cool, and that's really one of the reasons I started this show is because when I get people like you on that are passionate about what you do, that really comes through, and anybody can learn from somebody who's passionate about what they do.
I agree. And like I said earlier, like I think anyone can. You can even take away something from a bad take.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Whether it's well, I'm not gonna listen to that. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna trust that guy. Not gonna work here anymore. Or you know, uh, oh, that was an interesting view. I would never have come at it from that angle.
Yeah.
Like we're so far apart. I would never have thought, you know, whatever.
Hmm. Yeah.
I'm gonna go in
Now,
the longest winded possible way. Just
yeah.
say, yeah,
what do
yes,
you
continue.
what do you think is your what do you think is your the biggest mistake you've ever made that you've recovered from, and how did you recover from it?
Personally or professionally?
It can be either.
Um, I'm gonna I'm gonna pass. I
You can do professionally. That
professionally, quitting when I quit.
okay.
Quitting when I quit. I'm not. I'm not a regret guy. I'm not a
Hmm.
like. Wish I could do it over. But uh, if I hadn't quit, if I had just tabled it and like regrouped, I didn't have to. I wouldn't have had to have taken it so seriously. I could have figured it out, and then when I did get back into it, I would have been so much further along.
Hmm.
Or when I did discover my passion, like, because I've always been a huge fan of stand up, so it's not like I rediscovered a passion, but it was like I developed a respect for it I hadn't had previously.
Hmm.
And so if I had just, instead of just quitting, if I had just maintained, but then maybe I wouldn't have ever discovered the respect for it. So yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. I'm like
That's
you.
why I don't. That's
Regrets.
why I don't. That's why I really don't really do regret stuff because it's like, well,
Yeah.
it would be so different. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not taking the this thing or taking the this thing,
Yeah.
where it's like, oh, I don't even realize that was a mistake, but it was too soon, too early, too soon, or
Mhm.
this other thing was out.
Yeah. I'm with you. I feel like regrets just rob you of the time that you have on Earth, and it's just not. It's not a good thing.
I
Well,
love the killer life, man. I've done
yeah.
so much fun stuff. I mean, the amount of times I did what I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody has my track record. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
so I'm whatever happens at this point. They
Yeah.
say everyone's got a different version of this, but we say for the ferret because
Yeah.
a bunch of my friends got in trouble for stealing a ferret,
Yeah.
and they could have gone to jail and they didn't. And so now every time anyone says like a parking ticket, it's like, it's for the ferret.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I can't tell you how much I enjoy finding somebody like you who I find interesting, but I don't really know. And then I just do a deep dive and totally stalk you on the internet and find everything I can about you. And then you come on, and I feel like you get a little bit of a connection, and both of us take away something. And the funny thing is this goes on my Facebook page, and I'm friends with John Poveromo, who I met through doing the podcast. He was a guest on the podcast,
Right, John,
and
cool.
he just writes underneath it, "Love Neil,"
Yeah.
and it's just really neat to make these circles because I don't make the connections naturally. Sometimes I don't see where the connection is, but then when it comes around and I see it, I think it's really cool, and I really appreciate what you do, and the fact that yeah, you're unique, and the your act is it really draws me in, and I know it draws the audience in, and I can't imagine. I can imagine seeing you live would be so much better because when I'm watching your videos, I'm leaning in and I'm like, yeah, I get where this guy's coming from. So
Yeah, thank
I
you.
really appreciate you being on the show. It's been a really good talk.
Thanks, man. No, thanks for having me. Yeah, thank you. So I can't. I mean, you just like you say nice things.
Yeah. Well, I only have people on that I want to say nice stuff to. I work it that way. Now, where can people find you when they want to see your schedule and just find out what you're doing?
So I try to update the website as often as I remember to.
Mm,
At least once a week, I'll update it. That's there, newrubenstein.com.
mm.
My Instagram too. I update it pretty regularly at Neil Rubenstein. Yeah, I mean, I guess right now the best thing to do is just follow me on Instagram, and at some point I'll have the other things at some point. You know what I mean? Because I do like I have all the other thing. Like that you go, yeah. Like please go subscribe to the YouTube. I could use
Yeah.
that, or the Patreon. I could definitely use that. But
Uh-huh.
ultimately, it's like, yeah, follow me on Instagram. You'll see what I'm up to. You'll see where I'm going. I post dates and flyers and clips and sketches and
Yeah.
whatever all the things that they make you do.
Yeah, there's good stuff on your YouTube for sure. And yeah, as far as social media goes, I just found out I just got to pick one because I can't do all of them. I just went to Instagram, and
Yeah.
that's really the only thing I work very hard. But man, it's really been nice to get to know you. I hope if you ever come through Huntsville that you look me up so we can have lunch and get to know each other even better.
Can we end on like a really dark note?
Yeah, let's do it.
So where I want to end my life is on the Tennessee River, just outside of Huntsville.
Ah, okay.
So when you see it on the schedule, it could be bad news.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to push you that way.
Yeah.
So,
But I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Huntsville. I have a Trash Panda hat. Jack Brown's is my favorite burger spot. North Star is one of my
nice.
favorite bands.
Yeah.
I like it.
Excellent.
I like Huntsville. It's a rich culture
Yeah.
of rocket science and bowling. All right.
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you.
I appreciate you doing this. There is one thing that I'm asking of certain guests, and I think you are just perfect for it. The the big thing that I do, if you watch my Instagram, is I shit on my podcast all the time. I say how bad it is. So what I try to do is get my guests to tell me that they had a bad interview, or
No, I
just tell
can't.
me how stupid I am or something like that. Would you be willing
No,
to go
I
into
got nothing but
character?
nice things to say, man.
Come on, you can
That ain't
do
my
it.
character. Nah, nah, Scott. Why you should have more faith in yourself. You should, you did the you're like you're like Sean Evans but without the autism.
Yeah.
Just want to eat some hot wings with you.
Yeah.
Grab a Cobra Kai from Jack Brown's.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Well, I'll take that. That's good.
all right, yeah, yeah.
Thanks for being on the show. I
No,
appreciate
thank
it.
you, man. Thank you so much.